Hi everyone, this is Laura Jeremy and you are listening UniToShine. Today we have a special guest, Ronnie Smith, who is the person behind the UK Fruitfest. Hello Ronnie, welcome.
Hello Laura, thank you for giving me this chance to talk to you today, and I look forward to talking to your audience.
Yes, sure. So today I invited Ronnie to talk about the reality behind a business. So he's going to tell us a little bit more about that because he has a lot of experience with that, with running the UK Fruitfest for, I think, 7 years. Is that correct? 8
That's right,
years
yeah.
now? 7, perfect. So I think Ronnie will be much better than me to introduce himself. So Ronnie, if you can tell us a little bit more about your story, it would be great.
Sure, my name's Ronnie Smith. I mean, I started off years ago as wanting to be a musician. Firstly, it was the first thing that I wanted to do. So out of high school, but I went to do a degree at university, dropped out, didn't really do that well. Played in a band for a couple of years, played around the UK. Had a lot of interesting experiences with that, but kind of fell out of love with that and went back to, try and have a regular job and stuff. Went back to university, finished that off, and then started working in different jobs and never really wasn't really focused on career or money or anything like that. I was more interested still in music and other things that I was doing. And then I somehow became interested and passionate about the raw vegan lifestyle and started, because I'd always been interested in health, and I'd always been interested in continuing to experiment with healthier lifestyle and see how it impacted me. And as I started to go down that path, I went to a number of events, and I realized that there was no event like that in the UK for people. And some of my friends were considering putting on an event, and we sometimes met up together. And one year I ended up planning for us to meet up, and then that kind of led to a small event, and then that led to the idea of the Fruit Festival. And none of this was something that I intended or thought of as a business, really. But for years I thought I should do something, bigger. Like I thought that I had the ability to do something special or something important or whatever. And I never quite had the confidence maybe to do it. And I've been learning about personal development and all that stuff for years, and learning little bits about business for years. But this, the passion I had for the idea of putting on the festival, that drove me to take a big risk and put that on. And we did that in the first time in 2014, and it's been running ever since then. And it's been a lot of struggle and hard moments and difficult periods and a lot of learning. So it's been very interesting, and it's been a really great journey doing that. And now I mostly just work on the festival, and I do some coaching and do a few other things, but that's most of what I focus on is the festival now.
Mm-hmm. So this is how your whole journey as an entrepreneur started, having this strong interest and starting this. I remember because I saw some of the picture of the first kind of meetup, which also in a way you call this retreat. It was so nice. It was just a few of you, but now it's really a big event. I was there, no last summer, but the summer before. That's why this really nice jumper.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just amazing. I mean, for me, that's why also I wanted to have Ronnie today on this podcast, because I had amazing experience at this festival. And I really hope I always talk about to my friend about this festival and the experience I had. And also,
wow.
when you were saying earlier about you playing, what is great also about this festival is everyone can bring, I don't know, I'm sure it's still the case because I wasn't there last year, but everyone can bring his instrument and play, and Ronnie play and sing, and is so good. So if you haven't attended yet the festival, guys, you really should. Even if you're not a fruitarian or a vegan person, just for connection, and it's really nice.
Thank you, Laura.
No, of course, you're welcome. I mean, I loved it. So yeah, so do you want to tell us a little bit more in terms of your entrepreneur journey? So we understand now how it started, but because I guess a lot of us, like I remember when I was at the UK Fruitfest, also you organize a day just for people maybe looking to start their own journey, and you had a lot of advice on that. So I think it would be great if you can share this with us now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I don't have a kind of classic entrepreneur's background. My parents weren't entrepreneurs. I wasn't very entrepreneurial, like as a child or anything like that. I was quite shy. I was quite quiet. So the idea of like taking stuff into school and selling it to other kids, that wasn't something that was on my radar at all. I wanted to be a musician, and probably still nowadays, in some way, that's probably still more in line with my character, is the idea of like doing music or something and have someone else doing all the business part of it and everything. But when I had my first job, I really wasn't enjoying it much, and it just came to me one day to do guitar lessons, and it was weird because I could have been doing guitar lessons from the age of 17 or 18. You know, I was already good enough, but I didn't really believe that I was able to do that or allowed to do that, or no one had given me permission to do that, or whatever it was I was waiting for. But I was doing this job like minimum wage, you know, in a supermarket, and looking back, it's like I should have been doing something else. But I just didn't have that belief at the time, really, or whatever it was. But it came to me to do guitar lessons, and I felt really strong about it. And so I remember the first time I decided to do that, and then I started to put out some adverts. That was the first thing I did. So I remember the fear I had in just putting up, or the anxiety of just putting up an advert in a local shop window or something, and then eventually putting an advert in a newspaper, and I was kind of scared, and you know, people would see it and all this stuff, and all that. I had all these worries, but gradually I started to get some. I remember putting out one advert, and I got a phone call after a few days, and the guy invited me over, and I'd said on the phone to him, I'd said it's one lesson is £20, and 5 lessons or 6 lessons is £100 or something like that. And I remember that at the end of the lesson, he was quite happy with everything, and he handed me over 2 notes, and I thought it was £20, you know, 2 £10, and he'd actually handed me over 2 £50 notes. It was £100, and I was kind of shocked, and I'd never actually seen 2 £50 notes, but the idea that he had the confidence to just in me, that really changed me. And I had another few clients that week, and I thought to myself, I'm working like 40 hours a week doing this supermarket job or whatever, but and they pay me this small amount, and this man just handed me over £100, right? And that was a real changing moment. And when that happened, like I quit the supermarket job a little while after that, and you know, I thought I would just go on with the guitar lessons, but I made a bunch of mistakes. I wasn't particularly hard working at it. You know, I kind of liked the idea of it, but I didn't really push myself at it. And so that was just something I was doing on the side. I never really built it up. But I from that, I always had an interest in business, and I would watch shows, and I was attracted to the entrepreneurs, Dragon's Den and shows like that. I was really wanted to learn from them and learn and look at them and understand what they were doing. And when you have that little bit of experience of putting out some adverts and doing things like that, it gets you more interested in it, and you think, how can you do it better or whatever. So I'd started to do little things like that, these little side businesses like the guitar lessons, and I was it was probably after I went back to university, and I was really trying to, well, I was thinking I would be a lawyer. So I went back to university, finished off my law degree, did another legal qualification, and I didn't get a job, so I had this qualification, but went back into the supermarket actually, and then went back into office jobs, and didn't really wasn't really motivated at the time, to do much. I was just happy doing these jobs, So I wasn't desperate to be entrepreneurial at the time. But as I say, when I got into the fruit festival thing and everything, I guess I just had this inspiration to do it. I'd been at these other festivals and I thought this was the best thing in my life. I was going to these amazing events, meeting these amazing people, and I was just kind of loving it and thinking it was the best thing. And then I just thought, yeah, why not do something in the UK? And I spoke to one of the speakers, who's called Dr. Doug Graham, and at the time he was very influential in the movement, and his popularity kind of went up and down, but at the time he was very, very popular. And I said, would he come and speak at a festival? And he said yes, and that gave me the confidence to go forward as well and do it. And I had no idea how to do it. I just had a belief that we could do it and that we could work it out. And I guess something that I'd learned was sometimes you have to make a commitment even before you know how to do something, because you need to sometimes put yourself under that pressure to make yourself to do things, because it's so easy to put it off. So a lot of people are maybe listening to this and they're interested in starting something or doing something, but they're putting it off and they're putting it off and they're putting it off. And it's like, I could have been doing the guitar lessons years and years before. I could have been doing loads of other stuff if I had believed in myself, but also had entrepreneurial skills and knowledge. But I didn't really, and had not been brought up around that. So I put on the fruit festival and literally spoke to a bunch of people, because I did the small event like you were saying, and I said to everyone at the event, if you would like to work on a bigger festival, on a bigger event with me, then we're going to go and have a meeting in this other room. So I went to the other room and I spoke to about 10 or 11 people, and I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put on this bigger event, and I think we can, let's share ideas. Let's see what, and we just moved forward from there. And that, putting on that first festival was a very, very, very steep learning curve and a very hard experience. And the funny thing was that when we announced the festival, we put a group on, or we put a page on Facebook, UK Fruitfest, and it got lots and lots of attention, and people were liking it and sharing it, and this is fantastic. When can I get my ticket? Lots of excitement and interest. And as we came up to launch the festival and open it up for registration, what happened was something happened at another fruit festival, at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, where there was a big clash. A lot of people fell out. There was a lot of negativity, and it seemed like all the excitement that was around our event just disappeared. Mm-hmm. And then we launched the festival and no one signed up, and on the first day and everything. And I was at that point, I thought maybe we should just cancel it. And looking back, that probably would have been the best choice, really. But I just pushed on with it, and literally a lot of the people that were working with me, they fell out with me, or they didn't want to do it, or didn't want to work with certain people, and we just pushed on and pushed on. But the result of that was the festival went forward, and it was good, and people enjoyed it, and the food was good, and the accommodation was good. Everything was good, but it wasn't particularly well planned financially, and it lost quite a lot of money. And I had to get a loan from my parents to pay for the amount of money that was lost. And it was all bad mistakes on my part and naivety on my part and a lack of perspective. So that's why I'm talking about the reality of doing these things, is that a lot of people will go into things out of a passion and a desire, and that's all great, but you must also learn the reality of it and the nuts and bolts and the actions you have to take to get a particular result, and look at it very strategically and realistically. And that's what I didn't have. But that experience made me think about, and actually the funny thing was that I didn't really look at the festival as a business. I just sort of thought that there'd be so many people that wanted it that we would just put it on and people would share the word about it and people would just come and buy tickets, and nothing really happens like that in reality, and it didn't happen like that. So I had an unrealistic expectation of people, of how people are. So it's a journey about learning about people, learning about how to communicate with people and get your ideas across to them and show them that you have something of worth or of value to them, and have a way of providing that to them and everything. And over that time, I then became obsessed with getting better and better at entrepreneurship. And I was asking myself, because I'd lost money, I actually asked myself, how do I make money? And I'd never really specifically asked myself that question. I'd never asked that question, really. I never focused on it. I never focused on money. You know, until you lose a lot of money, maybe you don't think it's an important thing. I don't know. But I started to think, okay, how do I make money? Because my thought in my mind was, if I can make a lot of money, then if the festival has a problem, I can keep the festival going. That's actually how I thought, which is the wrong way to think, but that's the way I was thinking. So I started to learn, I started to research, I started to watch things. And I'd already watched stuff like the law of attraction and all these things, and all these, because I was into the spirituality side of things. So I'd always watched that, and I always believed that I would be able to do good things or create money or do all that stuff. But I never was very specific about how I would do that. And I was watching all these videos, and then I came across a video where a man was talking about, it's not about just attraction, like this mystical thing. It's about literally being able to attract, customers, being able to attract people towards your ideas. And that was through learning the principles of marketing and promotion. And I started to learn about that and learn from people and research about that and become more strategic about that. And the next year, the festival had a much better result and had more people. And so I could see the difference just from that little bit of learning, that it made a huge difference. So I continued on that learning, got very obsessed with it, very, very interested in it, continued to learn, mostly just online, free education and trying things out on my own. And then eventually, because you were mentioning that I was working in sales and then I started the festival, but actually I was always working part-time, and the festival was something I did part-time. I was always working a job at the start. But I became interested in sales because I thought, okay, how do you do this? How do you actually inspire someone or convince someone to come to an event or whatever it is? What is it that makes people make that decision, and how do we inspire them to do that? And how can this help me? Because a lot of the people that teach about marketing, they also say you should have an experience with sales as well, and being able to sell something to people. And that was completely against my character. Totally didn't want to do that when I was younger, stayed away from all that, thought it was, I didn't like anything to do with any of that when I was younger. But because it was something I thought would be essential for helping with the festival, I went and got a sales job, and I wanted to learn about it. And whether I would continue with the festival or do something else entrepreneurial, I'd opened up to these entrepreneurial skills. And so I realized that there was such a potential to do something entrepreneurial, and that would get me away from this life of doing these jobs that I didn't enjoy. you know, because I was really starting to not enjoy my jobs anymore, and especially when I started to see the potential of entrepreneurship. So I was really using the festival as a testing ground for my entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial skills. And I actually worked for a double glazing company, a window company, to learn about, and I specifically went to learn about sales and to be face to face to people and sell, try and see and sell a product. You know, that was my idea, that I would get training, and working in that environment, I got fantastic training, really good training in sales, and I got a lot of experience in being face to face with customers, trying to sell them this kind of expensive product and all that, and got a lot of rejection and it was just a really great experience for me to understand that, that once again, to learn more about people and what makes people buy something and why does something, because I was always asking that question, why are there all these raw vegans and all these people interested in the lifestyle in the UK, but they're not coming to the festival? Why is that? You know, so I started to, that was what was interesting to me about learning about sales. You know, it's not, and that's the thing about business, it's not about people being interested in what you do or people liking what you do. It's people, you know, buying into what you do, people putting down their money for your product or service. That's the big difference to you having a business and you having, you know, an idea that people like and everything. That's that you can't make a living on just an idea that people like. It needs to be something that's strongly compelling to people, that's different from what's out there, that's unique, and that will make someone actually give you their money to deliver that to them. So that's my entrepreneurial journey, and that's really continuing. I continue to learn, I continue to develop, and I don't really know what I'll do next. I have helped some other people start festivals now, and I've helped people start events, so I might do more of that. But now I'm still trying to really kind of perfect making the festival really successful and really good, and making it the best experience possible and growing it, and then maybe running other events from that and expanding that. So I think that's what I'll continue to work on for now, because it is still a passion for me, this lifestyle, the raw vegan lifestyle, and probably trying to find ways to get it out to more and more and more and more people is something that I'll work on as well. So I hope that that's a good little introduction to my entrepreneurial journey.
Yes, it is. I made some note because I just wanted to follow up on some point you just mentioned. So I really like the fact when you are saying about belief, because if you don't start believing on yourself, how other people can believe that you can do it? And it's so funny when you are saying that this person who gave you this £100 believe in you, and you are not believing in yourself.
Yeah.
And this is so amazing, and it's true. It's like, even for me or any kind of entrepreneurs, if you don't believe in yourself, it will be hard for you to just be successful. So this would be a first step, to work on your mindset and work on your beliefs. Also, we like the fact when you are talking about all of this journey, and before starting the UK Fruitfest, you've been doing different work who help you to develop this belief, to grow as a person, and also just, I guess, to experience different things. And in the previous interview I had with other guests, is always what's happened is they knew, like you, that at some point they will be an entrepreneur, and they will do something around business, and maybe they have already a passion for something. For you, it was around health and fruit. But before starting and jumping into this Fruit Fest, you started different projects. And also, I like the fact that you started small, because sometimes, and you were talking about also expectation, and sometimes you're like, okay, right, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I don't believe in myself, but I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to be successful. And it's where there was a big flop. And you are disappointed, frustrated, you can have some financial challenges, the one you had. but it's great that you agree to share your experience with our listeners, because there is so much to learn on that. And most of us as entrepreneurs, when we start, we are making these mistakes. And also when you mentioned about working in part-time, a lot of people are like, right, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I have this vision, this project, I'm going all in. And it's great to go all in. But it's true at the beginning, because it will be a lot of learning. It's better to keep your day job and start working your project and make all of these mistakes, but at least you are learning. And about skills, I do believe that if you have the belief and the willing, you can be an entrepreneur, but we don't all have all the skills. And I like the fact when you were saying, oh, I was missing this sales and marketing, so I've done this job to learn about the skills, even though it was kind of against your belief. But you understood that it was essential for your festival, because you have something just amazing project, but you needed this skill to get these people coming to your festival. And the thing is, I'm from a business and marketing background, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work, this way, because the thing is, the way I was doing this before with a client I was working with, it was sell. And the thing is, the client, the product they were selling, it was against my value. It was, I wouldn't buy myself this product, but we were using business and marketing,
Sure.
to get people to buy this product. But the thing is, it's funny, because in the last interview also, the discussion I had was about marketing, and it's just a tool. It's not marketing and sales is not bad. It's just how you use it. And if you use this as a tool to help you to communicate something just amazing, why not using it? And because of that, now your festival is a real success. I mean, when I was there, it was 200 people. I don't know how much this year, but it's brilliant. So I just wanted to touch on all of this point. I hope I cover everything you just said, because I think this is really, for me, like when you were sharing about your entrepreneur journey, as a key point that hopefully everyone can really integrate and use from your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing with a lot of marketing and stuff like that is that a lot of people, once again, we look, if we go into business, we maybe look for the simple solution. And I know a lot of business owners and different people I know that are quite successful, but they don't really do any marketing, or they are their own marketing, by which I mean they phone people up, they talk to friends, they network with people, and that is their marketing. They don't have a marketing system or an investment in marketing other than that. And so a lot of people are more, I think there's a lot of people that are good salespeople naturally. I've got some friends that are natural salespeople, and they'll probably always work for themselves, and they'll always do something for themselves. And but they do it. They mostly find people through word of mouth and through their network, and through, if they're quiet, I think they just phone lots of their friends and see if they if they want to buy their service or whatever. I was visiting a friend recently who has a restaurant, and it seemed to me, as I was speaking to him, he didn't have any other marketing. I mean, the restaurant itself is a form of marketing. Having a storefront is a form of marketing. It's attracting people in, but he wasn't doing a lot of social media or ads or emails or phone calls or anything. He wasn't, and his restaurant was completely quiet. And this is, it is a huge difference maker, and a lot of entrepreneurs aren't really thinking very clearly on their business, and every business, I think, needs to consider, and I do think that if someone's listening to this, that they shouldn't let, like, if you have that passion, just go and do it, and you'll work all this out. Don't hold yourself back because you've not got everything perfect yet. But eventually you need to consider having a marketing system in place, or something that you do, or a marketing campaign, or something that you're going to do that attracts potential clients to you, then some kind of sales system or process, some way that those people can then become your client. And all that is helping people make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all sales is. It's helping people to make a decision, because most people are not very good at making a decision, and a lot of people resist change, commitment, and often you need to convince them. The marketing part of it is about going out into the world, really, and having something that says to people, are you interested in this kind of thing that I'm doing? Come and get some more information about it. That, like, it's not once again, it's not a complicated thing, but we maybe make it more complicated than it is, or we think it's more complicated. But the important thing before all that is to consider who is the person that you're helping out. Because business is really, we look at it in a negative light sometimes, but it's really about helping people with particular problems. And the reason a business is able to happen is because that problem is so difficult for the person, or whatever it is, that they're willing to pay you for it. They're willing to exchange money for that particular problem that you're solving, or thing that you're giving to them, whatever way you want to look at it. So having a marketing system in place and understanding the person, what is it that they're looking for help with, what's the psychology behind it, and that's the thing that's very interesting. It's the emotion, because when it comes to that, that's why a lot of marketing and sales can sometimes seem a bit scammy and all that kind of stuff. But it's about the emotion of it's about touching the emotion of the person, the deep emotions that are going to make that person take action. Because most of the time people are looking to maintain the status quo, keep things as they are. A lot of times people aren't looking to move forward in their life. When it comes to the Fruit Festival, for example, for years I've thought about, what is it that makes a person come? What are the emotions? What's the type of person? And more I start to see the type of person, and I try and put a message out towards that kind of person, And there's another festival that I've seen, and when they've promoted, they've often put a lot of young people in their promotions, lots of young kids, young, attractive, bikinis, skinny women, young girls. But I know that the biggest group of people that come to my Fruit Festival are often older ladies, women 50 and upwards, sometimes even 60 and upwards, who have become very interested now in maintaining their health, improving their health for the future. They bring their family along, they bring their husband along. This is the best person for me to reach out to. These are the bit, and families, and that's what I'm trying. So it doesn't make sense for me to put out an advert with young girls in bikinis, because that's not what they're interested in. They don't want to turn up and it's all young girls in bikinis, and they feel old and not, So, and you need to think about that kind of thing, and then you create the marketing with that in mind, and the marketing is something I think that's a little bit more like changes, and it's different. But I think a sales process, whether it could be you speak to the person on the phone, it could be you have a website page that does it for you, it could be you meet people in person, whatever it is, you have something that makes that happen, And when I was doing the guitar lessons, I had an advert. The people phoned me up. I went and did a free lesson. That turned into them booking lessons, So there was a little bit of a system in place, and then you obviously have to be able to deliver the thing you're doing. So have that in place. And I think that what people don't often have is a follow-up system. So if you can provide something else for the people, you might want to give them more information about other things you do, and also referrals. So you might want to be asking them for more for other people they know that might be interested in coming and buying from your business or whatever. So a lot of entrepreneurs don't have any of these things in place, and they sometimes act very unplanned and unstrategic or whatever. They just kind of they do things on a day-to-day basis, and they look at how are things going, and this isn't really the right way to do it. It should be something you can plan in advance. All the big major organizations, the big companies in the world, all of their marketing and everything will be planned maybe a year in advance. So they already maybe have their New Year's promotions, what they're going to do in the new year, what they're going to do in February, if they're going to do something at Valentine's Day. For every country, they maybe have different countries have different holidays, different festivals. They've probably got marketing designed for that, Christmas, Easter, maybe Jewish holidays, Muslim holidays. They've got marketing designed around these things, summer sales, spring sales, autumn sale. They've got all this planned strategically in advance. They know what they're going to do. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, that's what probably we should all do. That's something that I'm getting more planned about that kind of thing. So I think it's worth getting more and more thinking of it in advance. But the real thing for me, I think, is understanding people, understand how they think about spending money, understand how they feel about what it is you're giving them. Understand why is someone coming to the festival, why is someone coming back 3 or 4 times, and trying to think, who's my ideal customer as well, who are the kind of people I want to bring, who are the kind of people, and what can I do to make it more attractive to them. So there's a lot of questions of that, and ultimately, obviously, delivering something great is probably the most important thing. But without the marketing process, without the sales, without that right, the impact you're going to have is much, much less. And I guess we're looking, ultimately, the thing about entrepreneurship as well is money is not enough to really inspire someone to keep going, because it is a very risky thing often to do. It is something that you can lose a lot of money doing if you're trying to do something on a bigger scale, if you're investing a lot of money, which you don't have to, but I'm just saying that if you were. So it's a risky thing. It's a struggle. It's difficult dealing with people. You maybe start off with high expectations of people, and you learn to have more realistic expectations. So people you work with will drop out. People that say they're going to do something won't do it. Customers that say they're going to come don't come. You've got to have a realistic expectation of people as well. And the thing that was most difficult for me about the entrepreneurial journey is actually the emotion and the motivation. And we can maybe talk about that, but I went through lots of emotions and difficult emotions, and doubts and fears and worries and anxieties, and I often still have that. And being able to keep going through that is the difficult thing, because it is much easier being in someone else's organization where they're taking the risk, and if anything goes wrong, it's their fault. Well, within entrepreneurship, it's your fault. So you have to embrace that, and that's why having a plan in place can be very good, because it gives you something that you're structured and you're planned around. But also just the idea of, it's really about leadership as well. And are you ready to make decisions for yourself? Are you at that place where you can trust yourself to make decisions, to do the right thing? And motivation wise, are you able to motivate yourself to get up and do the work? Because there'll be a lot of work involved. And are you able to motivate yourself? That's something I've struggled with. I've not always been the best at being motivated, and that's something I'm developing as well. So the main thing is that I believe that all these skills can be developed. I don't think that it's something that people are just inborn with. I think a lot of people that are successful as entrepreneurs at a young age have maybe been around it, seen other people do it, have had very early experience with it, and they've developed skills at a young age. But I believe anyone can develop the skills, and as long as you're serious about it and the reality of doing it, it will be difficult. And I think on paper it's not necessarily difficult, but the emotion you'll go through, the stress, the pressure, the doubt, and all these things are the difficult part about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what in what you said, so just for me, the highlight are in terms of knowing your audience, this is for sure one of your first steps. I remember, I guess maybe we might talk about the same festival, but I remember some post or ad of some festival similar to yours where it was someone in bikini. I'm like, this is not me. I'm interested about this festival, but is it people that are attracted, are coming to this festival? I was like, no, it's not me. So this is so important, knowing your audience, and according to that, you are going to communicate, market to them, so they can feel that, oh yeah, they're talking to me. It's so important, and using aftermarketing for that. In terms of be unique and be yourself, and I think also I do believe that we are all different and all have a gift, and trying to duplicate or copy what someone else is doing is not the right way. And because you are just different, so it's just better that you put everything into what you know and what you do and what are your value and your beliefs, and just go for it. And it's how also people are going to resonate with you and who you are, and your project, services, event, or whatever. So this, I think, for me is key. When you were talking about also mental challenges, it's funny you mentioned that, because in the last podcast with Miriam, we were talking about this and how to overcome that, which are the mental challenges and how to overcome them. So this is true. I mean, it touches all entrepreneurs. Even if you're a really strong person, of course you will have doubt and you will have challenges, and you just need to be aware that this is going to happen, and take along the way, and just have maybe tools to help you to go and to overcome them. But I think this is totally normal. And motivation. So what is funny for me, like at the moment, because I'm also building my business, I thought that I would struggle with motivation for some reason, maybe because I just love what I'm doing. I don't have any problem every morning to get up and get dressed and start work on my business.
That's excellent.
But we are not all like that. I mean, today is happening to me this way, but it might change one day, maybe because I might through some challenges, or not reach the expectation I was hoping for my business. I might lose this motivation and doubt myself. So again, having these tools is so important. And the last point I think you mentioned was really good. It's about planning. You can have this uniqueness and this amazing project or services, and be really good at that. It's what we talk about also in another podcast. You at the beginning, you need to wear a lot of hats. You can't just be like this person and your business is going to be amazing. You might need to be also this accountant, this marketing person, this sales person, this all of that at the beginning. So either some people might keep their day job and they might hire people with all of these skills, or you try to learn the skills along the way. I mean, you have different options. Some people who don't want to learn the skills because they don't have the time or whatever, they can always hire someone, or after try to do themselves. But as you said, planning is so key. And I think most of us, when we start, we forgot about planning, and we are like, oh, I'm going to do an event to try to get more people to know about my, and it's so rush. So of course you don't get, the success you were hoping to get.
Yeah, I mean, for example, like as well, like if you look at this, we're just after the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that stuff, right? So all that was last weekend or just before that. Before that, for Americans, was Thanksgiving. Before that is something else. So there's people, like, maybe if you're not entrepreneurial or whatever, you're not in business, you look at these things and you go, oh, Black Friday sale, what a lot of nonsense, or whatever, people might think like that. But the reality is these things work, people putting on sales, having a reason for a discount or something. These things always work, and you cannot come into entrepreneurship and try and do it. you're not going to develop a way of doing it that's completely different to what you see out there in business. You know, the biggest businesses in the world do stuff in certain ways because it is what works. And at some point, you're going to have to tap into what works. And having planned things like sales at certain times of the year, campaigns that tie in to that time of the year, you know, depending on what it is you're selling or whatever, and when you need more sales, you know, I just think that there's people that resist these things as entrepreneurs. They want to do it a different way. They want to do it their own way, and it's if they want to survive and grow and build what they're doing, you have to go along with what people want, not with what your customer wants, not what with you want it to be. You know, I love the idea that when I started the UK Fruitfest, I'd love it if all I had to do is put up a Facebook post and everyone signs up. I would love it if it was that easy. If it was that easy, everyone would have 20 businesses on the side, you know, because it'd be so easy. But it requires, you know, understanding the people that you're communicating with. You're actually trying to make them do it. From what I'm doing, I'm getting them to make a very big decision, giving up their time, giving up money, going to be somewhere around strangers, trying something new. For many of them, they've never done a raw vegan or a vegan diet before. It's a very big thing to ask a person to do. So for me to expect that they'll just sign up out of a Facebook post or something, or no, we have to understand these are people. We have to communicate with them in an effective way. We have to sometimes communicate with them more than once or a number of times, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not pestering. It's not, you know, and that's something I think that could be a lack of confidence in people when they start off, which is that they don't appreciate what their customers really like and what they're really looking for. And for example, with marketing, the big mistake that people make is they think, I'll just do something very short, or a very short video, or a very small amount of writing, because people don't have attention and they don't really want to put attention on this, and they don't have the time. And that's how people think. It's a lack of confidence, really. It's a lack of belief that their thing is important enough for someone to read, you know, or look at. Whereas in reality, if someone is interested in what you're doing and they're interested in buying what you have, they want the information. They want more information. They want to understand it. They want to know if it's the thing for them. They want more information. And for some of them, not all of them, but for some of the people that potentially, if you have a book, for example, if they buy that book and they've seen it, that's the book they want. They want to hear that information. You might think, well, I've already given them a book. I don't want to force them to have another book or whatever it is. You might have 5 other fantastic books or something like that. And you might have a lack of confidence to offer that to them because you're thinking, well, they're already bought one book, you know. But in reality, a lot of those people that bought your one book would be really, really happy, especially if they liked your book, to see all your other books. And some of them will buy them all. And then if you were to create another book, they would want to buy that one. And it's kind of like, if you have to think about yourself as a customer. And this is where people get it wrong, because people do not have an honest idea of who they are as a customer. If I'm really interested in something, I'll watch a video for an hour or half an hour. If I'm really interested in a topic, I'll read a number of books, research on websites. I'll spend a lot of time looking into it. So I'm not going to make a decision to buy something on a 1 minute video or a short. I want to explore more information because I've got doubts, I've got worries, I've got fears. I've made bad decisions in the past, and I need more information if I want to make a big investment, especially if I'm going up to a fruit festival or something, or spending a lot of money or something. I want to know that it's right for me. I'm a human being. I've got fears, doubts, worries, anxieties. I've been scammed in the past. I want to have confidence in what I'm buying. If I don't have confidence, if I don't have a clear mind, if I don't know exactly what it is, I'm just going to do nothing, because there's a chance I'll make a mistake, and that would be embarrassing for me, that'd be potentially harmful for me, and all that stuff. A lot of developing these entrepreneurial skills is developing the communication ability, to be able to help people get over these fears, these worries, these doubts, and provide them with enough information to help them ultimately come closer to you, make a decision, start to trust you, and develop a bond of trust with you. And a lot of that is the psychology and the emotion behind it, because it's fairly easy. If you had a friend, and if I give guitar lessons, and I have a friend that needs guitar lessons, it's very easy for him to make a decision to book guitar lessons from me. But for someone who I'm a stranger of, it's a slightly more difficult decision, because they don't know me. There's other people out there they could try out, and so on and so forth. So we have to have a mindset of having some empathy with what the person is going through, what they're thinking. Why are they staying up at night worried about, what is it that's making them want and need and desire what it is you have to sell, and then communicate with them with that empathy, with that understanding of who they are, with that understanding of the emotions that they feel, and show them and convince them you have the thing that's going to help them out. So I look at it very much like that, and I think that a lot of people in entrepreneurship don't see that, and they don't understand that process and that journey. And there's an idea called like the low-hanging fruit, which is that a lot of entrepreneurs will just go for the people that are interested right now. So if I sell guitar lessons or something, if I put an advert in the paper, then if someone has been looking for guitar lessons and they see that, or they see an ad on Facebook and it says guitar lessons, then they might think, that's it, and they'll phone you up and they'll book a lesson. Well, that's great. But there's 20, 30, 40, 50 potentially other people that were interested in lessons but weren't right there yet. They weren't desperate yet. They weren't, I'm doing it right now. So all those people, if they just see your ad, then they might not take any action, and you might think this didn't work, but in reality, it just wasn't effective enough advert, or maybe you didn't have another step to your process. So this is about having a marketing system in place where you're not just trying to blast out an advert to get someone to contact you or something, but you might want to try and start a relationship with people, by providing something to them, by giving them value. This is where it becomes more complicated. And this is why a lot of people don't want to do these steps, because it's extra steps. But this is where it becomes very effective, because you're able to gather together a group of people and build a relationship with an audience of people, rather than just with one person at a time, and develop trust with a large group of people who then, when you offer them something, when they are ready and when it's right for them, they will come towards you, because they've developed an amount of trust or a bond with you. So that's the kind of stuff that people don't understand at the start, and they want things to happen maybe too quickly, and they want, if someone doesn't make a decision right now, then they're not, I don't know, they give up on the person or whatever. And really we shouldn't. We should realize that it might just not be the right time. It might not be the right thing for them, but you might have something else to offer them. So a lot of it comes down to people, understanding people. It's a relationship like any relationship, and it's about developing trust over time. We don't make any friendship or any relationship in an instant, or very rarely. We tend to develop trust with people over time through multiple exposures, or through meeting a person a number of times, often introduced by someone else, which also helps to develop trust. So why would it be any different in our business? If we're looking to start a relationship with many customers and clients, it's not going to be necessarily that you become friends straight away and you're doing things together. it's not going to be like that. Often it's going to be a process, a journey, a relationship, multiple communications, and often the best way of building that rapport with people is providing something for free in advance that is of value to them, and then following up with them with further information, and then maybe sharing with them more, what you're doing. So that's where a lot of people don't get to and don't understand, because they 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 have wrong expectations of people, of how people are, and they kind of don't want to take these extra steps. They feel like this is all too complicated and everything. But it's an important part of marketing, of understanding that, which will make everything else more effective. And that's what I've been learning in a big way, to try and be more like that, rather than trying to get people to buy on the first just from an advert or whatever.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it comes back to understand your audience, and yes, most of the time as an entrepreneur, the main mistake we are making is like, because we believe so much in our product or services, we think that everyone is going to buy it, and we just talk about the product and the service, but we forgot about the audience. And
Yes.
instead of talking about the product and the service, we really need to talk to them and the benefits this will have to them, the value we bring to them, instead of, oh yeah, what I'm doing is amazing, I'm amazing. No, it's what I'm doing is going to be amazing for them. So it's so important to think the other way around, and again, having different messages, because everyone is on a different journey, on a different path. So maybe today you might convert this person who is already a fruitarian and already interesting to, but it's not because someone who is not a fruitarian that maybe at some point might not come to your festival. So which communication, marketing are you going to use for start getting this person maybe into your world? So it's not just about, my festival is great, and in that case this person might never be interested to come to your festival, because then what is the value for me? I'm not on a fruitarian diet. So I mean, it's great what you're saying. Just moving on, even if I think we almost touched base everything we were planning to discuss, but just in case we miss anything, and for our listeners to have it all clear, so after this interview they can just start with new ideas and tools. So just to remind us, or just if we miss something, what was for you the challenges, or what are usually the challenges that comes as when you're an entrepreneur?
The mistake is to think that the challenge is going to be the fulfillment of your service or product, that you're going to have to send this thing away to someone, you have to work out how to package it and all this stuff, or you're going to have to get it designed or made up, you're going to have to store it somewhere, or if you're doing coaching services, that you're going to have to create this whole thing. If you're doing a festival, you have to find a venue, and all this is all going to be complicated and difficult. None of this is really all that complicated. Often, a lot of that stuff is fairly easy to put together and to work out. And there's many different services out there that will help you with many of these things. If you're going to put a book out, there's hundreds of people that publish books, and they will help you with that. If you are, let's say you are doing coaching services, there's lots of books about that. There's lots of information about how to organize that, if you like. If you're going to sell fruits and vegetables, there's lots of people that have done that before. You can go and see what other people have done or whatever. That's not the challenge. The real big challenge is getting customers consistently, getting people coming to you that are going to invest in your product or services. That is the thing that people don't expect to be a challenge for some reason. Because in our day-to-day life, we see people going out buying things all the time. We see people buying all sorts of bad products. We see people buying worse products than we offer, and people spending lots of money on silly things. And we think, maybe you just think it's easy, right? But it's a complete mistake. It's a complete lack of understanding of the situation. And for example, I live beside a McDonald's, I live beside a large supermarket, I see people going in all the time, but we forget what's behind that. We forget the years and years and years of these brands and companies developing relationships with people, providing service consistently over time, and every month marketing all the time, lots of money into advertising, creating new deals, creating new offers, creating new products, always working, always creating things that bring people into the business, that drive people into the business. And if they didn't do that, the business would fall away and die off, you know. So people don't get that McDonald's have made the same hamburger probably for years. That's not the issue for them. The struggle for them, the thing that they have to keep on dealing with is bringing people in. How do we bring customers in? How do we make sure they come to us rather than our competitor? You know, because there's so many other things a person can do in life. There's so many other options that a person can take. The biggest option, of course, like for my festival, is yes, there's other fruit festivals, but there's just other things the person can be doing. There's lots of other holidays, resorts, retreats. There's thousands of things. So one of the things, I mean, one of the reasons the festival's been relatively successful is not because I'm a great entrepreneur, although I'm developing those skills. It's because it is the only one of its kind in the UK, and it's one of the few of its kind in Europe. That helped me out because it makes it different. It's unique. It's a niche. So there's not a lot of choice for a lot of people if they're looking for something like that. But the challenge is finding the people and being able to convince them to come, and doing that consistently, and having enough people and making enough sales so that you can cover the expenses of the business. And that comes through, as I say, through marketing, through understanding your market, understanding the people out there. And when it comes back to motivation and all that, it always comes back to, for me, are there people out there that I can serve? You know, if ever I'm worried about the festival or whatever, are there people out there to serve? Are there people that are looking for this? Are there people that are desperate to find this? And the answer is yes. There are people right now, and this is my message to everyone. There are people out there that are desperate to find you, desperate to find you, desperate to invest and buy your products and services. You might not believe that, but they are out there, and you will not find them randomly. You can't just go out in the street and bump into people and expect or whatever. It's through a process, through a system of marketing, which everyone should learn about, you know. But it's through that we attract these people to us, that we are able to put more information in front of them, and believe that if you have a confidence issue, you don't believe in themselves, there are so many people out there that are desperate for your help, absolutely desperate for it. And if they bumped into you right now, you would be a lifesaver. So it doesn't matter what product or service. It could be insurance, it could be accounting, it could be you sell fruit, it could be coaching, it could be books, or whatever it is. There are people out there looking for you. And if you think about it, that should motivate you as well. It should motivate you to build your business and grow it, because you are not serving enough people, you know. And it doesn't, you don't help anyone out by being a small version of whatever it is you're doing. You should, when I think about the fruit festival, and when I struggle and think about whether I should keep going or not, I think about the fact that there's millions of people that need this message, need to hear this message, need to hear a message of health, need to be motivated to start making better choices in their health. And they're in pain, they're miserable, they're up all night, they're worried, they're confused, they don't know why they're feeling ill or their health is going away. And if I don't do something about that, then at the end of my life, I'll feel guilty that I didn't try harder, you know, that I didn't actually try and reach them. So and that's the other thing, if you're feeling a bit queasy about doing marketing, if you're feeling a bit like that's a bit, you know, you've got a negative connotation, you've got a negative connotation about sales, you have to understand that the person needs that. They cannot find you any other way. They're not going to randomly come across you. You need to be able to put that information in front of them, attract them towards you, have a way of convincing them that what you have is good for them, so that when you actually deliver your product or service, they'll say, thank you so much, thank you so much for that. That was fantastic. And they'll never judge you for having done marketing and sales and all this stuff to get them to be part of what you're doing. And so that's what should really inspire people, is the people that you can help. Business is not about this selfish thing. You cannot be successful through selfishness. You can't be successful through doing everything for you. And it has to be about other people. You have to completely think about the other person and what they want, what they need, how you can help them, and how you can do something so valuable to them that they're willing to actually pay you for it. And that is the very key thing, I think, is to change your perception of this. It's not about how can I find a way to not have to work and not have a job and be an entrepreneur, and that's cool. It's actually about how can I serve this large audience of people that need my help, are desperate for it, and I have an obligation, almost morally, if you want, or you don't have to say it like that, but you might feel that if you're that kind of person, if you're an empathetic person, you might feel that a real obligation to help other people. That's why you should expand what you do. For some of you, it might not be that. You might just be motivated to help yourself, your family, and that's a great thing as well. But others of you, you're thinking about what you can do is going to impact the planet in a good way. For some of you, what you're going to do is going to impact the lives of animals in a good way. The protection of the environment. A lot of us, if we're involved in veganism and things like that, and health and helping people to make better decisions, our work is going to help improve the planet, improve the environment. So we should be inspired to keep on going in the hard times, to realize we're doing something good for other people, and we're doing hopefully something that impacts the world in a good way. And that's the emotions that should continue to motivate and inspire you to keep going even in the hard times, is to consider the impact you'll have, not even just now, but into the future, into the future generations, that you're having that impact. That's what should make the hair stand up on end and give you that fire and make you want to do it. Because really it comes back to contribution. That is probably the main the main thing that can really motivate people to do something like this, is the contribution you're able to make through entrepreneurship is much greater, is multiplied as to what you can do in a job.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that. When earlier we were talking about motivation, I think this is key. Like, why you are doing this, what for and for who, what is going to be your impact. And I think most of us, when we start that, is because it's not just for us, it's not just selfish, or it's just for our ego. It's more like, I want to do something great, I want to do something good, I want to help people, I want to help the planet, or whatever it is. And I think it's what, when we are down or having this doubt, it's great to remind ourselves this, and it what will help you and keep you going. But when you were saying also earlier about giving the example of McDonald's, and when we were talking about knowing your audience, I mean, today, even them, so again, maybe we disagree with what they do and their product, but at the end of the day, they're good in marketing. That's why they'll still be here. And when you see that they've been listening the audience and the demand in terms of, offering alternative option,
yes.
Vegetarian option, vegan option,
yes.
because they listen to people. So
yes.
again, it's not like, oh, I'm good, I know what I'm doing, my product and service is great, and I'm only going to send this way. You need to learn your audience, and maybe you have an idea, but build your product and services around them, for them.
This is a really important point you're making. I just want to pick up on what you're saying, that we talk about, like, I'm a vegan and I don't really eat at McDonald's. I don't eat at McDonald's and places like that. I haven't for a long time. But there's a lot of vegans that think when the world goes vegan, McDonald's is going to go out of business. and this other, and other restaurants are going to go out of business and all this stuff. This is completely not true, because McDonald's, more than any other restaurant, and Burger King, and all these restaurants and different food establishments, they are not selling burgers because they want to sell burgers. They sell that because that's what they find their customers are buying and want to buy. If their customers change to vegan, and what we're seeing, as you're saying, these companies are reacting to this very quickly. And I'm amazed at how we're seeing plant-based options, vegan options popping up in the most unlikely places. But it's because these bigger companies, often the ones that are really good, that stay in business for a long time, they really know and watch what their customers are doing. They figure out what their customers are asking for. They look at what's happening in the marketplace. They experiment with things. They try new innovations. And a lot of these companies are putting vegan on the menu, and they're seeing it having a massive impact. They're selling out their vegan product. Now, it's the bigger corporate companies like that are driving that change, because smaller businesses, often they're not really keeping a close eye on what's happening. They're going to follow what these bigger companies are doing. They're often not doing that research at that level to know, that they've got too much going on to be able to do that. But these bigger companies are adapting or changing. They will actually help the spread of healthier diet as people choose it. And that's the important thing, is that that's the entrepreneurial mindset, rather than the mindset of being an employee or a customer. When you think of an employee or customer mindset, you think they are making us buy junk food. They are marketing to us junk food and making us buy it. The entrepreneur says, it's not like that. We market junk food because that's what people are choosing to buy. And when we market healthier food, they're not buying that, or they're not buying it so much. So as people buy more healthy food, the money will go in to be able to market more of it. And that will drive a lot of change towards plant-based diet, healthier diets, and things like that. So the successful businesses are changing in line as well, and looking at what their customers are wanting, changing with that, and not being dogmatic about, we're going to sell hamburgers until the end of time. If everyone changed to eating something else, McDonald's are going to change. So whether they stay in business or not, who knows, but they will try to make those changes. And we need to learn from that as entrepreneurs, and understand that we need to know what people are looking for, what can we provide them with, what extra thing. The thing that I'm at with the festival is I provide a festival for people, but I start to realize, oh wait, a lot of people would like a smaller event. There's some people that would like an event in another country. There's some people who would like to go to a hot country for something. And I start to think, maybe I need to provide these things, or people are looking for more education, so I need to make more books and things like that. So we should always be thinking about what the other person's wanting, and learning from the fact that this is what the major corporations do to stay in place. They're always looking into what they can do to serve their customer, what they can give their customer. It's always very customer focused, and if you don't do that, you're not going to last long.
Mm. And also the last point, what you mentioned earlier about people are desperate about what you have to offer. And I love when you're saying that, because for me, so more than a year ago, so I was wondering what I was going to do next. And I was like, oh, I have so many years experience working in business and marketing, but I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work with this client. I don't want, it's not my value. Yeah. And it's because, I don't know if I told you, I don't think so, but it's because I went to the UK Fruitfest that I met all of these people. And first of all, I was like, oh my God, I just find my tribe, I find my people, I find my community. And also I was there and had so much, ideas. I couldn't even sleep because I was like, oh my God, I can do this. But I was still like, I don't know. I mean, I love yoga, I love nutrition, but I don't see myself being a yoga teacher or nutritionist. And I had this conversation with Gilly. I don't know if you remember her. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was telling her about, what I do and my experience. And she was like, Laura, we need people like you. I'm desperate for my business, like
Yeah.
I know my business, but I don't know how to market my business. I'm not a business
Right.
person, a marketing person.
Right.
So we need
Exactly.
people like you. So again, coming back to, you have a gift, and you need to put you out there, and because people need you. Like, you are going to
Absolutely.
have this massive impact, whatever your gift is, but this massive impact on people life or business, and this also people and business will have their own impact, and this is
Yeah.
what I love about that. So yeah, this is such a good point you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to, if you're offering business type services, then, it's slightly different, I guess, to just offering a product to a customer. But I remember last year, or multiple times, where I've been stressing out about so many things, and if someone had come along and said, I can do this or that, and they could have helped me, it would have taken a massive weight off my shoulders, and I would have been able to do so much more. And that's what it is. As you're saying, that's what it's about. We need to stop holding ourselves back from making that offer to people because we're worried about what they think, or they're going to reject you or anything else. But realize that that's part of it. But there are many people out there that are desperate for what you're looking for, that need it, that you're going to save their life. You might change their life. And there's it's about that. It's about thinking about those emotions. People are confused, they're worried, anxious, they don't know how to go forward in life. So you have an opportunity there as an entrepreneur to help people. But remember, always also the reality of it. Always, you have to do it in such a way that's also profitable. You're not providing services or products that you're losing money on, or whatever. You're not going to survive a long time doing that, regardless of how much passion you've got. You have to, so as you're saying, it's multiple skills you have to learn and understand, and that is why entrepreneurship is a more difficult thing than people appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of parts to it. And yeah, if you can help people in their entrepreneurial journey, there's definitely a lot of business in that.
Just before we finish, so what are your top tips? We mentioned a lot, but if you have just a few, what would be?
In terms of just entrepreneurship in general?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, in terms of kind of this reality, the reality of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if a person just has a basic idea they want to be an entrepreneur of some kind, I would think that it would be a good idea to start researching, learning, and understanding the psychology around sales, around marketing. I think that's a good thing. And maybe the best way is to actually put yourself in that position, to maybe try a sales job or a marketing job. I think as if you've never done any kind of sales, that would be a worthwhile thing for someone that's, if you're coming from a background of never doing anything entrepreneurial, and you're not sure what you want to do, at the very least, it's good to learn these skills. And sales is a big thing that will help you and make you understand what you're doing, understand people, how they buy things, the way they think about things. That would be a big tip for me. Potentially finding a mentor, but it's very hard. It's very hard to find a mentor. So there's so much stuff online now, and there's a lot of stuff to watch. I would try and be cautious with people. You don't want to, there's a lot of things for sale out there. There's a lot of people that make money out of other people's dreams, like will sell you different entrepreneurship courses, information. Some of it's good, some of it isn't, but be aware of that, and just understand there's a lot of free information, so it's worth researching that if you can. But really, if you have an idea of what you're doing, then just go for it. It's the biggest thing I would say. Make a commitment. If you're if you're going to sell clothes or jewelry or whatever it is, then make a commitment. You're going to have a stall somewhere, go and pay for it, invest that money. and that's another big thing, that people hold back on investing, and they just hold back and hold back. You know, you're going to make that money back someday. You know, don't, if you want to think like an entrepreneur, you've got to believe that you can make that money back. And at the end of the day, you're not going to get anything really great for free in life. You can get education for free, you can get information, but people aren't going to provide you with great opportunities for nothing. You know, you're going to have to buy a place sometimes if you're going to be at a fair or an event to sell your things. If you're going to open a shop, you need to go and do it. If you're going to have an internet, you know, an online business, you have to invest in putting in a website up, but it's actually very little to do that, but you need to make that investment. And if you're going to do advertising, once again, you have to be prepared for the investment involved in that. So make a commitment, go ahead, do something firm, put a date down. You're going to do this, invest in it so that you're committed, and just keep on learning from there. Keep on learning, learn from your customers. Never judge them. You know, never say that they're wrong for not buying your product. Always understand that this must be something wrong in what you're doing, and continue to learn and improve and get better and better at it. And yeah, don't give up, because it will be difficult. Just try and keep it going, and but also always be aware of whether it's working or not. You know, make sure you do have some kind of basic account. Look at the money you're investing in it. Is it worthwhile? If it's not, you need to change the way you're doing it, maybe, or maybe you need to do it more or a different way. Don't just keep doing it and doing it and doing it just because you get used to it or whatever. Figure out if this is really worthwhile for you, and if it's not right, you need to maybe change things. But the main thing is go for it, commit, do something, you know, and that's how things happen in life. That's how entrepreneurs think and work. They don't plan for years in advance of what they're going to do someday. They announce they're going to do it, and then they work out how they're going to do it. That's the way that I would think about things. Is it's do it, put it in the diary, put the date down, put the advert out, whatever it is you're going to do. Tell people, and get going, because you're never going to feel more prepared. You know, you're just going to waste time. So just go for it.
Yeah. I really like the fact when you're saying get the skill in terms of business and marketing. So I like it because I've been working in this industry for a long time, and working with clients, and it's so much easier also for me working with clients who kind of add some ideas about business and marketing. So for someone who is an entrepreneur and at the start might do his business and marketing, but maybe later on also just to grow his business, at the end you can't do everything, so you need support, and maybe you might hire someone. It would be easier for this person to hire someone, and also to understand, you know, what would be their recommendation, or see if, you know, it's the right people to work with, because they have this understanding. So I think also this is key. Yeah, so just before we finish this interview, so do you want to tell us a little bit more about the UK Fruitfest, and when it will be next year, next summer?
Sure. Well, the UK Fruitfest is an event that's been put together to provide education and support for people who are interested in learning more about a raw, vegan or fruitarian diet, which is a very unusual diet, but there's more and more people that are interested in it around the world. And our main thing is providing education to people, because a lot of people don't know a lot about it, and are very curious, but they're worried about whether they're going to be able to do it right and get all the nutrition they need and all this stuff. So we bring in speakers from around the world, experts and leaders, to speak about that. And that's the main thing about our event. But the second big thing that we want to create is community, and a real community environment and feeling. So not only do people who are trying to go raw and trying to go healthy, not only do they not have a community often of people that support them, but they often just even in life in general, people don't have a lot of community. So it can be a really amazing experience for people. It's something that we really focus on, making sure we have a real community, family feeling. We provide 100% raw vegan diet. We provide accommodation and everything. And yeah, it's next year, the 26th of July to the 2nd of August. And we're already nearly halfway sold of a lot of the accommodation. So yes, it's going really good this year, and hopefully we can do more and more as well, other events and do other things. But right now we're just focusing mostly on the fruit festival.
Thanks, Ronnie. I mean, I've been to this event a year ago, and it was just amazing. So again, if you're not on this diet, just for the experience, the connection, singing with Ronnie, dancing with Roger. I mean, yeah, just doing some yoga in the morning or going running with, all the guys. You're just going to enjoy it a lot.
Excellent.
So thanks, Ronnie. Thanks a lot for your time. I'm sure everyone, you got a lot from this episode because Ronnie been very generous in terms of all of his advice and insights. So thanks a lot, Ronnie.
Thank you very much, Laura. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are you ready to turn your passion into a business? Is it finally time to make the difference you were born to make? Good, because we are here to help. Get started now at UniToShine.com.